Hello, my name is Alex Dyer. I'm a Canon Ordinary here in the Episcopal Church of Colorado, here for another Canon conversation. And I'm here with a good friend of mine, at least I consider a good friend. I hope she considers me a good friend as well, Sandra Montes. And Sandra, tell Colorado a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Colorado, and hi, Alex. It's great to see you. I'm Sandra Montes. I am the Dean of Chapel at Union Theological Seminary. I am Latina, I'm indigenous, I'm in Texas right now. I shall go to New York in a few weeks, and I just wrote a book recently. What else do you want to know?
First of all, I want to say congratulations. I know you were interim dean and now you've been made official. So I haven't had a chance to congratulate you. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about this book.
Sure. The book is basically what I saw my dad doing as a successful, in my opinion, and in others, of course, a successful church planter and rector of the all Latino, the only all Latino congregation in the nation as an Episcopal church. And just what he did throughout his life. And it's called Becoming Real and Thriving in Ministry.
Mhm.
And it stands for respectful relationships, excellence, authenticity, and love. So it's like a rubric for, just how do you want to run your life and
Mhm.
organizations.
Yeah, it sounds like a great acronym. Love that. Real. So let's delve a little bit. What do you mean by respectful relationships? What does that mean?
When I first started talking about this, before I wrote the book, I kept talking about relationship, actually respectful, being respectful with people. And then one of my best friends said, you're really talking about respectful relationships,
Mhm.
because that's the first thing that I think we all need in order for anything to happen in our lives. We have to have a respectful relationship. If I don't see you respectfully, and if I don't have a relationship with you, I'm not going to care what happens to you. So especially in these times, in these very difficult times, when we see all this hatred around us, I feel like it's a lack of that. I care about you because I have a relationship with you. And so I think that we should all be trying to get into these relationships, especially as a body of Jesus. To when we meet anybody, when we even see them, even with a mask on, we can always, nod and smile, or with our eyes, right, and just share that we want to have a connection. And for me, I've seen this around the church. I've seen this as myself when I go to different churches and I don't even get one person to welcome me into the church. And then I always wonder, how does that person feel that they're coming for the first time to any church building and
Mhm.
not one person makes a connection with them, even a smile, even, just an actual, like, I'm looking at you, I see you. So for me, that's the first step in any kind of growth that we want, whether it's be spiritual or with money or with formation, etc. It should all start with that relationship.
Yeah, especially I think during these times. I think
Yes.
you're right. It's not only a political division, everything else is kind of going on. So if you're respectful in these relationships, how does authenticity play into that?
Well, so one of the things that I talk a lot about, and if anybody ever sees any of my posts on Facebook, they know that I criticize our Episcopal Church a lot because I love her so much and I think she can do better.
Mhm.
So for me, I see that there is a lack of authenticity and relationship building. A lot of times when I see, recently, I saw this church-wide event that the leadership was all white, and then the people who led like plenaries and stuff were all white.
Mm.
And so what I challenged them on is, if you had a person of color in that meeting of two or three people, when you're planning these things out, you would actually see, oh, wait a second, these are the people that are missing around our table, and these are the people that are missing in our agenda. And because you need that relationship with other people in order to be authentic. I cannot, I've been in so many places. One of my biggest examples is Cinco de Mayo.
Mm.
When people have Latinos and Latinx and Latina people in their congregations, they'll say, like, okay, we're going to do a great Cinco de Mayo celebration for you. And we're going to wear a sombrero and a maraca and yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you realize that you're talking to a Peruvian who has never heard of Cinco de Mayo, or a Mexican even, who's like, I'm not from Puebla, I don't really celebrate it, what's going on?
Mhm.
And yet then, if we had had this relationship, you would have known that ahead of time. So for me, you would have known that and then been authentic about whatever it is that you're trying to extend to other people. I talk often about either romantic relationships, or if I invite you to my home,
Mhm.
what would I be like? You know, if I invited you and your kids and your husband to my house, what would I do?
Mhm.
So that you could feel like, wow, Sandra really wants me here. And so that's where I wish that, especially our churches were, you
Mhm.
know, what is it? How am I going to help Sandra feel comfortable? You know what, not even comfortable, but just like, I really want her here. And
Mhm.
it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be crazy many times. But if we're authentic about that, then I can be myself completely and know that you're going to try to understand me, and I'm going to understand you, etc. So we have to be authentic in that. A lot of times when I see people just using like one instrument, like an African instrument, or beaded work, or things like that, and it's like, look, we're, you know, we're inclusive, and you're not being authentically yourself. Otherwise, you would have people that represented those items
Mhm.
wherever it is that you are. You know, we've seen that in general conventions, we've seen that in diocesan conventions and stuff. So I feel like we have to just be loving enough to get to know others so that we can do that, the relationships and the authenticity.
So in your experience, what keeps us from doing that? I mean, I think a lot of people kind of know they need to do it consciously or whatever too, and then there's a gap there to where we can't quite go there. What's your theory on that?
One of the things that I ask everyone to do whenever I'm doing a workshop or a talk is to look at their social media and not their phone. Tell me who are in your pictures. You know,
Mhm.
look at the past month. Maybe not in the pandemic. Maybe this is different because, you know, we're all at home. But look at last year. How many people of color, how many people that are different than you, how many straight people, how many, you know, whatever did you take pictures with, or that you felt were like it was a big enough for some people who don't take pictures, right? Who felt this is important enough for me to take a picture. And then those of us who do love to take pictures, you know, how many do I have of the other people that are not like me? I think that is very, very important. So I think when we see that, we realize, wow, everyone in my lists looks exactly like me. Everybody in my social media posts, everybody on my phone camera roll. When we talk about, you know, who are the people that we trust the most, you know, name the top 10, most of them will look like us, especially white people. You know, there's studies done that white people have, I think, what, one friend for I don't know how many friends that they have, et cetera, et cetera.
A
So
lot.
obviously, you know, we're not um doing the work of relationship building. It could be fear, it could be like, life is good the way it is, and it could be just that lack of, I don't know, I don't want to call it ignorance, but I guess that's the best word to say it, you know, like the ignorance of the world is bigger than just whatever is right here in front of me. Those of us who come from other countries or who have, you know, darker skin, we have no choice if
Mhm.
we live in the United States. You know, this is just, we walk around and, you know, the people that pay us are usually white. The people that have the bigger companies are usually white, et cetera, et cetera. So we do have those people in our lives. And the opposite is, you know, is not always true. I get a lot of people who come from very small, older congregations and all white that tell me, no, 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 we don't have anybody like that around us. You know, we're very affluent here, so there's nobody of color. And
Mhm.
then I say, well, if there's nobody of color that can afford these houses, which is false because we do have people who have money, but then look at who's serving you the coffee, who is taking your order at your restaurant. You know, we do have diversity all around us, and but we are the ones that don't take the time to notice that. And so another thing that I invite people to do, and Eric Law talks about this a lot, is go around your neighborhood and go around your church's neighborhood and see who is around there because it's usually not the people that are inside our pews, and then wonder why don't they come inside our pews. And that's a whole different
Mm,
topic of, maybe it's the music, maybe it's the preaching, maybe it's that, like me, when I go to a new church, including here in Texas, when I go to a church and nobody says hi to me, I'm not going to return. I'm
mhm,
not. Or if I look at the altar and everybody looking at me as a white male, I'm probably not going to return. So what is it that's keeping others out, especially when we have these very thriving communities around our churches, and our churches dying, as a lot of us have been told.
mhm,
What is it, and why aren't we worried about that?
mm,
Why aren't we doing something about that? Why aren't we, like, I'm worried about it. I don't want the Episcopal Church to die in a sense. I mean, I think we're people of the resurrection. So if our churches die and then resurrect, that's going to be fine. But I want us to continue this. We're very progressive, except, for the National Cathedral the other day. But we're very progressive. We're very open. We don't expect people to be married or to do certain things to have the sacraments, etc. We have this amazing organization and this amazing vehicle to get people to know Jesus, that a
mhm,
lot of times we just don't, it seems like we don't even care to share it. And I don't understand that. I don't understand why that is. And I wonder,
mm.
you know,
I do want to. I mean, it's interesting. You know, church is for the people of God.
right.
And I think we need to find that. I think sometimes we think church is just for the people that are going to church.
Yeah.
I think is part of the challenge. I think looking at it holistically, we intentionally in the office of the bishop said we are to empower, equip, and engage the people of God in Colorado,
Mm,
and there was some discussion about, are we here to support churches or are we here to support the people of God?
yeah,
And we quickly came to the conclusion, no, it is to support the people of God,
right.
which say primarily usually happens to the 95 congregations across Colorado, but that's not where our mission ends.
Right.
And I think that's a challenge with church. So I appreciate kind of raising up the people of God. And to circle back, I think that does mean the people who are not in our pews are looking around
Of
and
course.
or either serving us coffee or our next door or whatever kind of thing too. The people that, um, if your church doesn't look like, your neighborhood,
Right.
I think that's a challenge.
I mean, our churches a lot of times look like I've said, the Republican, what's it called, conventions or Republican um, houses. I mean, they're all white people of a certain age, and that's it.
Yeah.
And and if our churches look like that, do we really, really, really want it to look like that? I mean, is that really what I want for my church? And my answer is no. My answer is it should look like your neighborhood. And the neighborhood is not just the people who can own houses around it, but who is there, who is, if you walk around, who is walking in the sidewalk, who is it? That's who needs to be inside and outside our pews. I mean, we also need to stop being inside our pews. And I hope that the pandemic has given us that opportunity to realize we've
Mhm.
got to do something different. We've got to get out of ourselves. But Alex, I have seen so many pastors still burning out during this time when they could have used all of us lay people to
Mhm.
do morning prayer, y'all. Morning prayer. We're not doing the Eucharist. We're doing morning prayer for most of us. I don't understand why every single church, almost every single church service that I've seen throughout the pandemic has always had a priest there.
Mhm.
And I wonder, and leading, and I wonder what happened,
Yeah.
because I feel like this was and still is. I mean, we still have the opportunity. This is the opportunity to really help us lay people also get up there to be like, let's do this. If we mess up, we mess up. Lay preaching, lay laying of hands, lay everything. I mean, come on. It's that is who the people are. We are the church.
Yeah. The
We
people, I think, yeah, here, empowering the people of God, no matter
are,
political party, no matter
no
of
matter
uh,
nothing. Yeah.
race, whatever, to gender. Yes. Gender
Yeah.
expression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ability, yeah.
I think,
So
we get a better picture of God, I think, the more
yeah,
diverse we are
of course we do.
in some ways. And I think sometimes we rob ourselves of that fuller image of God
Yeah.
for sake of our own comfort. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is, or
That's
or,
a
or
part of
whatever it is. Yeah.
I think that's one of it. A lot of people tell me that they want to feel comfortable instead of saying, I want to be comforted.
Mm,
I think there's a big difference. Yes, I want to be comforted. It has been an awful time for many of us. And for some people, I mean, they've lost it all. Of course, we want to comfort, people in church. That doesn't mean I want you to be comfortable because the gospel is not comfortable. Jesus was never comfortable. He comforted, he healed, he was there with you. But it wasn't like, okay, Alex, all right, we're going to do everything you say, everything you do is right. Yay. No, because that's not comforting. This, I mean, we could go with any analogy, but
mm,
I mean, when we are hurting, if our bodies are hurting, we go to the doctor, and what they usually give us or do for us that will comfort us later isn't comfortable. Often it's not. I mean, whether you break something, you have to wear a cast, that's not comfortable.
mm,
You have to take pills, you have to remember, that's not comfortable. But it is something that is going to help. And I wish that we would remember that at church. I'm not trying to be comfortable here,
mhm,
because if I'm comfortable, that probably means that you're not comfortable. And if
mm,
I love you, then I want us both to feel at least one part of the church, like a song or the litany, whatever. I want us all to see ourselves in there. And it's hard. It's not easy. I've had to plan many times, with different liturgies. It's not easy to plan the same thing. And you will always get at least one person, at least one Sandra, that will call you out and say, "Oh, you did this wrong." But that just helps you continue to grow.
mm,
And um and again, it's not hard, but when you're committed, it's not easy, but when you're committed, um and when you have, like, that love, that relationship, you want to be authentic, you want to
mm,
be excellent, you want, of course, everything wrapped up in love, then it's not as heavy as when you're just like, okay, I want to do this and I want to do that. No, whenever we think about what will bring us closer to God, like you were saying, and it takes all different things.
mm.
It won't look the same every Sunday or every Monday, and it won't look the same at every congregation. um, but it is, that is the work that needs to be done, especially during these times.
And that it is work. Well, thank you, Sandra Montes. Tell me your name of your book one more time.
Becoming real and thriving in ministry.
And how would I get that book?
Oh my gosh, you can either contact me or please go to church publishing or Amazon if you have to. But just please, I hope that you can get it. If you cannot afford it, also contact me. There's been a lot of very, very generous people who have given me some extra money so that I could share the book with other people. And I'm always happy to. Plus, I always give you a few stickers, and I love doing that too.
Well, thank you, Sandra, so much. Thank you for your ministry here in the church, for everything you're doing at Union Theological Seminary, which, by the way, is the alma mater of our bishop. Just to put that in there. um,
Yay!
so I went to that other seminary down the road called General, but don't hold that against me.
Okay,
so,
I'll try and do
but yeah, seriously, thank you for all the work you're doing
that.
on behalf of the church and for calling us to account for making us uncomfortable from time to time. I appreciate it. You've made me uncomfortable from time to time. And I think you've also been a part of a lot of my personal growth as well. So I give you thanks for
Thank
that.
you, Alex. Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you.